Hi, and welcome to the Soundschi Land Show, where everybody's upside down.
Every day is upside down in Soundschi Land.
Today, I'm talking to Ryan Hurst. He's one of the founders of GMB. Um, yeah, if you don't know them, check them out. I will put the links down below anyway. But I have a burning question, and that is, you learned a one-arm handstand in a matter of 3 months. Is that right?
That's correct.
How the hell did you do that?
Well, first off, good coach. Had a great coach, but also spending a lot of time first working on the foundation and being able to actually start working on the one-arm handstand. So rather than just trying and jumping up to learn the one-arm handstand, I spent a lot of time building up everything I needed as far as foundation.
How much time are we talking about here?
So I didn't get into the one-arm work until, goodness, so GMB, we're celebrating our 10th anniversary next year, but it wasn't until maybe 4 or 5 years into GMB, doing tons of hand balancing, different things from single arm levers, bent arm presses, other type of handstands. So I would say about 5 years until I started getting into the one arm handstand work.
And you had a very solid 2-arm handstand by then.
Yeah.
What does a good foundation mean for you? Like, how could I assess if my foundation is good enough to keep going to the next level?
Yeah, great question. So the thing about GMB as well is we're not just about hand balancing, so there's a lot of other things involved. So you might, for example, a person that I admire a lot, he's also a friend of mine, Yuval on hands, and where he focuses mainly just on the handstand work. And so his basis, of course, is going to be very different. He's looking at different things. Your line has to be a certain way or whatnot. And in his case, as a professional hand balancer, I think requirements are going to be a little bit different, of course. In my case, it was a matter of just making sure that I was very comfortable in my body, making sure that I had that. So, for example, a lot of people say, 1 minute handstand, regular 2-arm handstand, very solid, making sure that you're able to breathe, you're able to keep the position, have a very nice straight line, and be very comfortable in that before starting any one-arm work. In my case, because I'm a bit older than the average person, I'm 46 years old right now. So when I started working on the one-arm handstand, I remember my coach at that time, when I approached him and I said, hey, I want to get the one-arm handstand. And he said, well, I'm going to be honest, you're older than anyone I've really worked with, so I don't really know if you're going to get it or not.
Who was your coach at
Steve Atlas. And he's also a very good friend with Yuval. And he's a very big guy, like muscle and stuff. My thinking was, if he can do a one-arm handstand with that physique, I want to learn from him. And so I approached him, and he was, a bit surprised in the beginning, but we worked out, and it worked out very well. And so I was also thinking of things within my body, because completely blew my shoulder out in judo when I was 33 years old. And so other things I had to take into consideration. So it wasn't just about having that handstand. It was making sure that my body was physically and mentally strong enough to begin the work on the one-arm handstand. And so there was other things that I had to make sure that I had, a good foundation on, making sure my shoulder wouldn't get injured, my wrist strength, as well as, other things that some younger people might not have to deal with. Yeah.
So you come from a very diverse background of movement. You were a gymnast first, and you did martial arts for a long time, or you were in martial arts.
Yeah.
Do you think that carries over to learning specialized skills faster?
Absolutely.
Like handstands,
absolutely. And sorry for the ambulance there. Apparently.
Japan!
Yeah. So it's pretty noisy around here, so I apologize for that.
No problem.
But yes, I wait a second for that to go by. So. Yeah, to get back to your question, though, absolutely. I do believe having such a wide array of experience and other things definitely helped me. My background, especially in gymnastics. The thing about gymnastics, though, is very different than the hand balancing world. you don't hold a handstand very long in gymnastics. And
Is
so
it used more as a transition?
exactly. So in floor exercise in the routine, you hold it about 3 seconds just to show that you have control over it. If you're on the still rings, then you hold it before going into another movement, as well as the parallel bars. So it's not where you're holding it for a very long length of time. But because of my background in gymnastics as well as martial art, and I was also involved with some other movement organizations, especially looking at joint integrity, mobility, flexibility, along with the strength, it really helped for me to transition into the handstand and hand balancing work that we do in GMB Fitness.
Do you think that's a matter of just bodily awareness?
It's huge, huge. We talk about this in GMB all the time. It's about awareness. And so that's really what I'm after with everyone. It's all about skills. We're training for skills, whether it be a handstand, whether it be being able to walk up a flight of stairs better. It's about being aware in your body and what you need in order to do the training. And I think a lot of people tend to look at a particular person on Instagram or YouTube or something like that and say, wow, I want to do that. And they miss out on the fact that it's not about that person, it's about themselves and being aware of where they are so that they can start that particular practice of the skill. And so yes, in my case, the martial art, with my yoga background, with my meditation, with gymnastics, having that awareness within the body is huge. And also autoregulation, where rather than waking up that day and saying, okay, on a piece of paper it's telling me that I need to do 100 handstands today, well, maybe I needed to back off. And I was very open with Steve when he was coaching me about that. And also nutrition plays a big part of that, but I think the mental awareness, the physical awareness is one of the most important things, rather than just trying to do something and then maybe not getting a full understanding of it because you're simply trying to get the skill rather than learning what's going on in your body when trying the skill. And there's a big difference there. Because a lot of people will get frustrated when they kick up and they might not have it. And they come down and they get angry and they're like, why didn't I have that?
So you're not really feeling what is actually going on. You're just in your head.
You're in your head thinking, I have to get this skill. No. All you have to do is feel what's going on in your body.
I can totally resonate with that because I just had an experience while traveling here, actually. My skills, or what I'm actually able to do in handstands, got a lot worse because of the traveling. Because it drains you and different circumstances all the time. So I'm actually wondering how you handle programming.
Now, working with Steve was a lot different. I followed his programming to the T. So, for example, building up to being able to do 100 attempts on each arm. And so basically, the whatever particular level I was at, let's say it was just, I don't even know, just the tinting of the fingers that day. So I would make sure that I was able to get that hold for a particular amount of time and work up to 100 on each side. So that was what I was looking at. But in terms of the way that I do things now, it's very different. And so the programming that I use is what we call the 5 Ps. And it starts off, though, with our AAA framework. So the AAA framework, the first A is assess. You assess where you are. That could be daily. It's also monthly. It's also looking at cycles. So where are you right now that day? Then what you do is you address what you need to do in order to work on that assessment. And you apply the proper programming that you need in order to help you with that skill. So that's the first thing you do. The 5 Ps is the way that we practice that session. So to start off, we prepare ourselves for that particular session. If you're doing handstands, you want to prep your wrists, your shoulders, as well as possibly the hips, depending on what you're doing. Okay? That's the main thing. So you're looking at making sure you prepare yourself for that. If you're working on one-arm handstand, part of the prepare would be maybe just regular handstands, 2-arm handstands, doing a little bit of line work, maybe some band work to make sure that your line is in a good place that day so that you have that awareness. Next step, you practice. That's the second portion. You practice at the highest level you can that day, and you're looking at good attempts. So you're not, in my case, counting repetitions. What I'll do is set aside a particular amount of time. Let's say I only have 30 minutes that day. I'm going to spend the majority of my time practicing the highest level. And in this case, it might just be working on straddling, shifting the weight, and tenting the fingers and holding for 3 seconds, and then slowly coming out of it. You step away, you take a break, you breathe, you relax. When you're ready, you do another one. The goal here is to do it as beautifully as possible. The repetitions don't matter. It's about doing one repetition as beautifully as possible and then trying to do it one more time. Anytime your form starts to break down, you're done. You need to either move down the next level or you move on. And you can move on by moving to the third P, which is play. And play is what you're doing is you're maybe working on just shapes. Maybe you're going to the wall and you're just working on tenting the fingers, but it's at a lower level than your practice. Because practice is where you want to be fresh. That's where you want to work at your highest level, as I mentioned before. Whereas play is where maybe you can work on that shape against the wall, try something new, or maybe even bring something down a couple levels just to kind of mess around with it and explore to see what's possible so that your mind is not so intent on thinking you have to get it.
Yeah, I love that.
The next one is push. Push is really pushing yourself in order to condition and strengthen yourself so that you're better for the next session. So this could be where, for example, you work on your line against the wall, holding it for 1 minute. And, or maybe where you're on the floor working a freestanding one-arm handstand, working on the straddle, tenting, and you can hold that for 3 seconds on the floor away from the wall. Maybe you go to the wall and you hold that for a minute. So this is really that conditioning portion of your practice. Thing is, the majority of people tend to live there. They think that that's like the major part of it.
Only the conditioning.
Exactly. But the way that I like to look at things is, okay, let's practice that particular skill first and spend time there. So when we get to push, we're going to be pretty tired already. But when you push yourself, it's not just the physical part, but it's the mental part. And this is really where some of the magic happens, because you're tired, but you realize if you push yourself, and this is why we call it push, if you push yourself a little harder today, you're going to be better tomorrow. But you do it at a level that's lower than you would practice. So you're focusing on good form, always quality form. Anytime that the form is bad, no, you're practicing bad form. And that's not going to help you for your practice when you do that the next session. It's very important. And it can be different every day. For example, let's say you practiced and you're exhausted from the practice portion. Maybe you only do a little bit of the push. Well, great. That's still going to help you for the next session. And so you can adjust it according to what's going on. Travel quite a bit. You're not feeling it. You're tired. You're like me right now. I'm congested. I'm a little sick right now. So today I'm not just going to think that I'm going to have a practice like I did yesterday where I can push myself. And the thing is you probably don't want to do that. Because if you push yourself too hard, then the next session is going to be bad. So that's auto-regulation. And you can always change.
Okay. Continue. And
one more. The last of the 5 Ps is ponder. This is where you sit down and you think about the session. You think, okay, what went well? What didn't go so well? And what do I need to do next time in order to make it better? The way that I look at the sessions now is very simple. Always look at what you learned that day instead of what you accomplished that day. Because a lot of people only try and get a particular skill. But if you bring better awareness to the skills that you're working on, you're never going to have a bad session.
I love that.
Because you're learning. And if you can always learn, you'll always be making progress. And as I mentioned earlier, if you get frustrated, like you kick up and you fall out and you're like, damn it, whatever. No, that's only going to keep you from improving.
I love that.
So if you look at having that positive session, What did I learn today? Well, I learned that I kick too hard and I fall out of it. Okay, great. Next time, don't do that. You'll be making that improvement. And the cool thing is that you'll always be getting better. I'm getting older. I don't do a whole lot of one-arm handstands anymore. When I do it, I don't get frustrated that I can't hold it like I used to. That's where I am that day. I enjoy the process. I have fun with it and learn something. And so have a good session.
It's a totally different way of seeing it, actually. It's a more in the moment oriented view than really aiming for the skill.
Sure. And you just brought up a great point, is being there in the moment. I look at hand balancing as meditation. And I actually sometimes use the analogy of surfing, like with handstand, with the one-arm handstand. And so, for example, you go with your surfboard and you go out to the ocean. You never know what the ocean is going to be like that day. That's your body.
It's more like a reactive process. You just have to be aware and ready.
And there. And whatever happens, happens. Yeah. And it's just like meditation.
Yeah, I can totally resonate with that approach. So the question I wanted to ask you earlier was, would you differentiate between beginners and more advanced people? Because you need a pretty high level of awareness of your body to be able to fine-tune your practice in that way.
Sure.
So, yeah, would you make a difference in teaching those people?
Yes and no. And so, in terms of how I would teach them, the thing is, everyone, if you're looking at the AAA framework where you assess, you address, and you apply, that's going to be the same for everyone. And again, each day you go in and you do a little assessment. And you say, okay, what's going on with my shoulders? What's going on with my wrists, hips, ankles? Depends on what you're doing. And you check your body out and you say, okay, this is where I am today. Therefore, this is what I will try. And in my mind, even if you don't feel like doing something that day, like let's say today you want to practice handstands, but you wake up and you're like, I don't really feel it. At least do the warm-up. At least go in and warm up your body.
Okay, so are you saying go to the point where you can handle it? Or?
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of us say, I don't want to do it today, and they don't do it. I've had some of the best practices when I didn't want to do it.
Yeah, me too.
Because you show up and you do it. I learned
and
this
you
from
don't
my
have expectations.
Exactly.
That's a big one.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Is a lot of the times the difference between a beginner and an advanced student is that it comes down to the awareness, quality of movement, understanding of the body, but expectations. Because an advanced person knows exactly what they can do and what they can't do, whereas a beginner has really no idea, not just what they can and can't do, but what is possible. And so it's a matter of experience in being upside down or moving on the floor in a particular way or grappling with a person so many different times that they understand how they can still have a great practice that day. Yes, technique, whatnot, but again, it's that awareness and that experience. And looking at how I don't want to say professional, but an advanced student
who just has more experience.
Just has more experience, and they're able to take that experience and apply it to what they need that day. And so what I'm trying to do is give the beginner a process of what they can do to follow in order to bring better awareness faster. And that's what I learned in 3 months, when I got the handstand. That's what I was doing. I was simply saying, okay, what do I need today? And my coach was telling me what's going on. And I followed it, but I also I gave him feedback. I said, this is what I'm feeling today, and this is where I am. And he was able to make adjustments based on what I needed that day. And so we were working together rather than me just trying to change something. Because typically when you try to coach yourself, it's not a good thing sometimes if you're looking at a particular skill. And so myself as a teacher, it's not because I know everything or whatever. It's simply because I have a little more experience than you do, and I want to make it easier for you. That's how I look at teaching. In Japanese, sensei. They say sensei. And a lot of times, in English, people make jokes about, oh, sensei, whatever. But Sensei in Japanese means the person who was born before.
Huh.
And it's simply the person who has a little more experience than you, and they're able to help you to bring you up. So that is a sensei. So in Japanese, when you write it, it's, literally just before born is how it's written. And so looking at it that way, any person who has a little more experience than you can be your teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're open to that and you're able to communicate with that person about your needs, because I don't know what you're feeling in your body, but if you're able to express that to me, then I can better help you. And that's what we're trying to do in GMB, is we give you this process. In GMB, really, it's not about the skills. We're after the skills. We're trying to help people because they want to get skills. But what we're doing is creating this method. We've created this method, this process that they can use in order to give them this physical autonomy, the freedom to be able to do the stuff they want and have a better understanding of their body when they do it.
Beautiful. On point. Really cool.
You're in deep thinking mode right now, I can tell.
Totally. But I had another question for you, and I wanted to ask you how you would compare, let's say, technique, strength-based skills to flexibility training.
Yes.
Would you go about that the same way you do in a skill-based training? Or how do you deal with flexibility in general?
Absolutely.
What's your approach?
It's a great question. So we break things up into 3 sections in GMB. We have strength, we have flexibility, and control, motor control. The motor control is something that you're starting to hear a little bit about that. People bring that in recently. But mainly it's about strength and flexibility, and they talk a lot about that. Thing is, though, they're all related. They're all skills. Everything is a skill if you really think about it. So you can actually break it up in the same way. So it really comes down to what do you need? And so a lot of people don't really know what they need. So here's an example. How strong do you need to be for your handstand? I don't know. I'm not you. But there's certain things that we can check, and we can give you these assessments that are going to help you to really figure out where you are. Then it's a matter of simply having enough strength, simply having enough flexibility to accomplish that skill. Okay? A lot of people come to us and they say, I need the front splits. I need to have the front splits. Our question is, okay, great. We can help you. But do you really need them, or is this just something you want? And so that's the big difference. And
what is the difference exactly between wanting and needing?
Okay. Some people say that they want the front splits. And yeah, it would be cool maybe if they have it. But is it going to help them for what they need to do? And that's kind of where it comes back down to. And so a lot of us now, a great example is the one-arm handstand. It's a party trick. That's all it is. It's just a trick.
Unless you're a performer.
Absolutely. But how many of us out there are really a performer?
Not that many.
Not that many. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. But when teaching seminars, I always ask everyone in the very beginning, how many of you here are professional athletes? Not a whole lot, usually 0. So, if you're not a professional athlete, you shouldn't base your life around your training. You should base your training around your life. And unfortunately, a lot of people switch that over. It's great if that's what you want to do. But what I'm getting at is this. Sometimes people train so hard and they're so focused on getting a particular thing that they miss out on everything else.
You mean that they identify with the outcome of their daily practice?
Rather than the path. And that's the huge thing. And
okay,
so
I see what you mean.
And so like, for example, the front splits, great, I can help you get that, okay? But what I mean by is that something that you really need is simply being realistic, okay? And again, I'm not going to tell a person that that's a bad goal or something like that. I simply want to know if that's truly something that they need, because some people don't get that. Another example would be like 6-pack abs. And so the question is, when a person comes to me and says, oh yeah, I want 6-pack abs, I say, great. Once you get those 6-pack abs, how will you feel? That's what I want to know.
What's going to change with
What's
that?
going to change with that? What's going to change with you getting the front splits? That's what I'm really after. And it's a huge question. It's a deep question that a lot of people aren't really prepared to answer. And I just want people to be thinking about it in that way. What's going to change once you get the one-arm handstand? Well, maybe a lot, especially because you're doing this series with people who are upside down. Of course, that makes sense, you know? And I think you should do it. I think that people should have these big goals and go after them. But I want people to really focus on that process rather than just that sparkly thing that they think is going to change their life once they get it. No. Change your life right now while you're getting it, you know? Focus on right now and being in the moment and looking at what you really need right now rather than thinking that once you get this skill, you're going to change or something like that. Because when it comes down to it, it really doesn't matter. Nothing matters. And that's the deep thought. The only thing that matters is right now, our conversation, what's going on right now, and enjoying the process. And I think a lot of people miss that because, again, they see things that they think that they maybe should have, or maybe someone tells them they should be doing.
Or maybe they think they get more recognition.
Exactly.
Or more attention.
Right.
Yeah.
But when we truly know not just what we want, but what we need, then I think we can become a bigger and better person for other people. And that's just something, you know, over the years that I think a lot about is how can I be better for others rather than just me, you know? And so...
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking that maybe handstands or any skill can also just be a tool for whatever
Absolutely.
you want to create in that moment. And for me, for example, it's been the best tool to just connect with people.
Yes. For me as well, it was a great period for me looking deeper into myself. And it was something that I could do by myself anywhere and learn more about myself. And so for handstands, for me, that was perfect. Again, I bring it back to like that meditation. That for me, I needed that in my life. It was a point in GMB where we were so busy, things were crazy. I needed a way to be able to go, okay, when I'm upside down, you can't think about anything else. And I was able to use that time in order to just step away of sorts and just be me. So that when I went back to my work, I was better because I was working on that. So, deep thoughts with Ryan, yeah?
Awesome, I love it. What you're saying is really on point, and yeah, it's reaffirming what I was feeling and thinking.
Good. I'm very happy to hear. And like you said, it can be so tough when you're traveling and you know, you don't feel as good as you normally do. It's not a bad thing, though. It's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Because you're learning more about yourself. And that's the process. And something else, too, Jarlo, I remember, so when I got the one-arm handstand, I remember I always, you know, I kind of did it in the same place, at the same time, every day, on that same wooden board that I used, and everything was flat. And I remember going to Jarlo's house, and we were in his garage, and he had this Olympic lifting platform, and it was uneven. And I remember doing one-arm handstands. I couldn't do them. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do them. What's going on and everything? And he was laughing because he said, you're so used to doing it in the same way that you can't do it anywhere else. And so that was also a big thing for me, and trying to do it in different places and different situations. And so right now, something that I'm trying to do a lot of is getting more comfortable with being uncomfortable. And so and traveling, and what I mean is with traveling with you, that's a big thing.
And not let yourself be disturbed with the circumstances.
Exactly.
I think my adaptability to the circumstances has improved.
Yeah, I'm sure it has. It has to.
Even if I'm not as consistent as I used to be. But I'm much better in new situations.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, and you nailed it. I think that's really very important for us because I think we can become very set in the way that we do things. And when things change, we freak out. And, you know, as humans, that's not good. And so with you with traveling and, you know, everyone listening here, and try and take yourself out of that situation from time to time. that's what I mean by play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is during that play portion. Try to put yourself in situation, do something a little different so you're like, whoa, what just happened? You'll
Break the
learn.
pattern.
Explore.
Yeah.
Exploration, it's huge. Yeah.
Cool. My last final question.
All right.
Who are you targeting with GMB? Who is it for? Because you have like a gazillion programs.
We do. To be perfectly honest, it started off as very simple. It's about people like me, like Jarlo and like Andy. I'm going to be able to empathize with those people. I know the people like me who are married, who have a job, who have
other
kids.
responsibilities.
Exactly. I know what they feel.
Yeah.
I really do. Everyone thinks that like I work out 8 hours a day and that's all I do. No. I hardly work out that much
How
at
many
all.
kids do you have?
Two children and one extra child right here. But
Snoring.
starting off, that's what it was. And what we found was that a lot of other people came to us, wives of these guys like us, people, especially in CrossFit. It's just amazing. People, they look at, for example, the muscle up. And when I talk about, make it clean, don't kip, CrossFit, military people, just so many different people. But our target really is looking at those who, I don't want to say are advanced in age, but, maybe, older 30s, hitting their 40s, kind of that age. But really, I mean, the way it is now with all of our programs, there's something there for everyone.
That's what it looked like, yeah.
Yeah, lots of stuff going on. And we're always updating, making things better, refining. And I think that's also important. As I've aged, the method has changed in GMB, and it always will. We're always trying to get a little bit better than we were yesterday. And we're just trying to be open and realistic about what's going on in order for us to help as many people as possible. Focusing on that idea of physical autonomy, having the freedom in your body to do what you want.
And also kind of educating them, maybe?
That's it. We don't consider ourselves a fitness company. We consider ourselves an education company. And again, I'm just trying to be the sensei because, I have a little bit more experience maybe than most people, and just try and help other people up,
Empowering them from the ground up.
That's right. Enjoy the process. That's the big thing.
Cool.
Thank you.
I think what you're doing is really great.
Thank you very much.
And like I said, I've known you for a long time. You've been around for pretty long.
Yeah, pretty long. Like I said, spring next year will be 10 years.
Wow. So obviously you're doing a really good job.
Thank you very much.
And yeah, I hope the work keeps paying off.
Thanks. And I'm looking forward to seeing your one-arm handstands.
Haha. Give me one more year.
Well, hey, if that's what it takes, that's good. No problem. So
yeah, we'll see where it goes. But it was a pleasure having
you on
the show.
So much.
Thank you so much for being
here.
Thank
you. And thank you, everybody.
Also, thank you for watching. Check out the links below. I will put anything relevant down there. And just remember to keep it playful.
Yeah, that's it. Keep it playful.
I always say this thing at the end, but I don't know, lately I just say anything.
That's good.
I say something weird. Just keep it playful. I'll see you next Monday on the Soundschi show. No problem.
Happens to me all the time, sorry.